position to take advantage of these dreadful developments. They were, after all, the self-proclaimed party working people and economic grievance. They loudly deplored the methods used by the Cleveland administration to smash the Pullman strike in the streets of Chicago. And after the strike was over, the Pops embraced Eugene Debs as their newest hero. Meanwhile, the hard times deepened, and the Democratic administration did its grotesque favors for the banking community. The mania for silver grew and grew. Both of the old parties remained committed to the gold standard, leaving the populace standing outside this tidy consensus of orthodoxy and comfortable at a time when people really hated the orthodoxy. Then something crazy happened. As the recession deepened, the Democratic Party began to turn against the sitting president, the banker coddling Grover Cleveland. As Democrats gathered for their convention in Chicago in the summer of 1896, the pandemonium broke loose. Not only did the party denounce its own president, but it declared its intention to toss the gold standard overboard. They nominated for president the virtually unknown William Jennings Bryan, a 36-year-old free silver advocate from Nebraska who talked as much like a populist as did anyone from the Cornhusker state. Eastern respectability reeled as beheld one of the country's two traditional parties captured by radicalism and some riffraff. I think it was the hayseeds, was what they called them at the time, the unwashed roofs of the farmlands and the hinterlands. They were now going to nominate someone for president. The actual radicals in the People's Party, meanwhile, reckoned with the very different problem of seeing a powerful rival swipe the idea which they had really been strategically placing all of their hopes. Right after meeting with the shocking Democratic Convention, the populace felt they had little choice but to throw in their lot with Bryan. Fusion had been such a successful strategy for the party at the state level, and now populist leaders hoped to follow it in the executive branch in Washington. The gamble was tough for certain populists, however. Not only did it mean selling out their far-reaching reform program in favor of one issue, but many among the party's southern and black contingents had risked their lives to make a stand against the Democratic Party. For them to come crawling back because their colleagues wanted to endorse Bryan was a humiliating prospect. Still, the wager was done. It was free silver against the gold standard, with populists and Democrats standing more or less united to defeat the plutocracy. When Bryan proceeded to lose to Republican William McKinley, populism fell mortally wounded. The People's Party struggled on for a few more years, but after the catastrophe of 1896, its fate was sealed. The party immediately broke down into squabbling factions. Its conventions, scheduled for large auditoriums, were attended by embarrassingly small crowds. At length, the economy recovered, even for farmers. Agricultural prices rose, and thanks to various technological advances, the global production of gold increased enormously, finally erasing the problems of deflation. Meanwhile, the two big parties slowly came around to populist innovations. Populist voters gradually made their way back to previous partisan homes, while a chunk of the leadership joined the Socialist Party. By the first few years of the 20th century, the Third Party's grievances and its evangelical style seemed dated and easy to forget. Populism's list of demands, the policies, the ideas behind it, did not perish. It lived on and was met with success. The direct election of U.S. senators, for example, was secured by the 17th Amendment to the Constitution. Railroads were regulated, and so was the telephone system. Monopolies were broken up. Women got the vote. Rich people got the income tax. And beginning in the 1910s, farmers got a whole host of programs designed to protect them from speculators and middlemen and the ups and downs of the market. Putting unemployed people to work and infrastructure eventually became a standard element of economic policy. In the end, populists won, and they did it through organization. That's our show for you today, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you learned a little bit of something about the history of a successful socialist movement, or it worked for at least a time until what happened. Of course, it was continued in large parts through the New Deal. Something definitely worth exploring. But as I always say, history is a great, I don't even always say this, but yeah, history is pretty cool. It's a great way to look at the future and what's happening right now. Hope you enjoyed this episode about the history of populism here on Uprising. Thank you so much for listening.